I'm so glad you've chosen to spend a little bit of time with us today here on the Science and Technology stage. And I'm going to be talking about the future of food. And who doesn't love food, right? Who out here loves food? Yeah? Can I hear a yes? Who here loves science? Anyone love science? Who here loves Star Wars? Woo! May the 4th be with you all. May the 4th be with you, too. So let's get started. And if you haven't read already, it says Tea Earl Grey Hot. Now, does anyone know what that's from? Whoa. Call it out, sir. Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I'm a Trekkie. Shh, don't tell anyone. I know it's a Star Wars thing. But we have both here because I have a very, very special guest that will be joining us shortly to talk about his favorite food. So let's get started. I'm usually savvy. We'll use this bright side up. Okay, so first of all, who here loves space? Any kids out there who love space? Did anyone ever dream of being an astronaut? Did who dreamt of being an astronaut, or who maybe thinks they want to be an astronaut? Any of you? How cool would that be, right? I always wanted to be an astronaut, but guess what? Look how thick these are. I don't have the eyesight. So we were just talking about food a little bit. Who loves food? What's your favorite food? Can you tell me? Ice cream. How about you? What's your favorite food? Back the kid. Can you come and tell me? You like carrots? Oh my goodness. Wow, we have a healthy group here. Any of you guys, what's your favorite food? Mike and Ike's, that's a candy. Okay, we got carrots, we got candy, and we got ice cream. Do you have something too? Do you want to tell us about your favorite food? Okay, wait. He's thinking. Okay, well you have time to think about it before. So what we're going to be thinking about is not just the food we're going to eat today, but the food we're going to be eating in the future. And I don't just mean in 2050. I'm a scientist, and a lot of people spend time thinking about what are we going to eat in 2050. And you want to know why? Because by the year 2050, we're going to have almost 10 billion people on this planet Earth. That's a lot. How are we going to feed all those people? And how are you going to feed all those people in a way that gives them good nutrition so that everyone has food to eat, healthy food to eat, and so that we're not damaging our environment, right? So that's the big question, is how are you going to feed food healthfully and also sustainably? So I don't know if you guys know this, but we actually are in the middle of a revolution. It's a food revolution. Did you know that? Did anyone know that? That's right, we're involved in a food revolution because exactly what I said, we need to figure out how to feed 10 billion people. As well, we need to think about feeding people centuries from now. And that's why I titled my presentation Tea Earl Grey Hot, because I don't just think about 2050, that's sort of around the corner. I'm thinking about the 24th century. What are we going to be eating then? Well, I think in the words of Yoda, a little more knowledge might light our way. If we're going to think about what we're eating in the future, let's talk a little bit about the past, and then we'll talk all about some of the exciting developments now happening. So this is just an image that shows a little bit about evolution. Now, does everyone here know what evolution is? So we came down from the trees many, many millions of years ago, and we used to eat. We used to be gatherers, scavengers. That's what we used to eat, mostly fruit, occasionally then meat, but we eat fruit and nuts and all those kinds of things. But as we moved throughout time, we moved through lots of different revolutions. There was the first agricultural revolution called the Neolithic Revolution. That was around 12,000 years ago, and that's when we started farming. Just, you know, who here's been to a farm, right? That's when we started. Can you imagine that? 12,000 years ago. You've been to a farm? That's right. We started domesticating animals. We eventually started eating dairy, but we basically started to be able to store grains and be able to have food for future time, and we started settling down. And that allowed us, that was a huge move in our evolutionary history. If we fast forward to another significant revolution called the Industrial Revolution, it's when people stopped farming and they moved into cities, okay? They moved into cities, sort of, we all live here in Boston, right? So at that point, if we live in the cities and we're not farming, what kind of of you guys, that's great. Maybe some of you go to the farmer's market if you're really lucky like I am. We go to the supermarket. And that's where we get our food. And food is canned and frozen and all kinds of stuff. And then if we fast forward, we go to the digital revolution. The digital revolution is when we map the human genome and we can understand so that in the future, we are going to be able to make foods that are tailored to each of your genetic profiles so that you can prevent disease, have a beautiful, healthy, and long life. Lastly, we have one of the most significant developments that we've had through the course of human history, and guess what it is? I'll give you a hint. Computers, right? So that's another part. Oh, I said digital revolution. I meant genetic revolution before. So the digital revolution gave us computers and so much power, and that also is going to be used to create the future of food. So that's our trajectory in a nutshell. And what's the major theme throughout is scientific discovery and technologies and innovations has always changed what and how we eat, how we grow food, what we choose to eat. And it still is doing that today, and it will be doing that long into the future, not just in 2050, but in the 24th century. So we can talk about this in a little bit different way to really bring these things alive by thinking about what's the first thing, the only thing we drink, the only thing that we need to drink is water. That's just all pretty with a lemon and some lavender just for flavor. But water, how many kids out here drink water and like drinking water? Yeah, exactly. Water is actually an essential nutrient. We need it to live, don't we? Right? Well, that was the first thing we drank during our evolution, and later we drank tea, and some people still like tea. How many people like hot tea? Yeah? You know, my little niece loves hot tea as well. So tea is a delicious drink, and next to water, it's drunk more than any other beverage in the world. Now let's bring it full circle to why we're calling this tea Earl Grey hot, because who else likes to drink tea?
Tea Earl Grey hot. Tea Earl Grey hot. Tea Earl Grey hot.
Tea Earl Grey hot. That's Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and that's his favorite thing to drink. And where is he getting it from? Did anyone see a kettle? Were there any tea leaves? Where was he ordering it from? Where was he ordering that tea from? A computer. Right? A computer, fancy computer they call a food replicator. So guess what? We didn't need water, we didn't need the tea leaves, we didn't need the environmental degradation from growing that tea, or from maybe paying the poor farmers who have to pick that tea for us. That tea didn't need to be packaged and then shipped all over the world so we could drink it. We just said, we walked up a computer and we said tea, Earl Grey hot. And there it was, it came out for us. So who thinks our future is going to look like that in a couple centuries, where we can just order food and it will appear right there? Who thinks that it might look that way? Because I think it might look that way. I think it might look that way. And in fact, we have a lot of amazing lessons from science fiction, that tell us how things are going to evolve in the future. As many scientists have said, today's science fiction is tomorrow's science fact. In the meantime, before we move forward, I know there's a very special guest who's wanting to share more about his favorite foods. Can you come on up here, Chewbacca? Woo! Let's give Chewbacca a hand. Oh my gosh. Chewbacca is super tall, right? Can you say hello to the whole audience here? We do need to give him a mic, right? Because then he can handle his own. That's awesome, thanks. Would you mind speaking to the mic, Chewy? Thank you. So what is your favorite food, Chewy? Oh, I love that. I love that. You guys got that? What, none of you speak Wookiee?
Or
Exactly. Wookiee, you love to eat. That makes you big and strong, right? He has a very nutritious diet. I think just like some of the kids out there, I think maybe the Wookiee loves carrots. I'm not sure. Do you like carrots? Or is that a thing? All right, it's a thing. Can you help me out the rest of this? Do you want to learn more about the future of food? Who Who's gonna join Wookie in learning about the future of food? Oh, he says, what is this? Would you like to know about my new book? It's called Food and Nutrition, What Everyone Needs to Know. It talks about the past, present, and future of food in 134 questions and answers, and it's meant for everyone. A little self-promo. I wasn't even planning on doing that, but he was interested. What can I say? All right, so let's move forward and let's get to the fun stuff because you've already heard the history. So who knows what this is? This looks like rice, right? And this is a rice patty. These are real pictures, and some is white, which is normally rice is white or brown, right? But this is yellow. This is something called golden rice, and what has happened there is it's been genetically engineered such that it contains vitamin A. That's incredible because do you know that almost 1 million kids just like you, die from around the world because they don't have a nutritious enough diet. So this is a way we can deliver really healthy food through our latest technological tool, which is called genetic engineering. So don't believe the hype and don't get caught up in the myths because genetic engineering has a lot of power to change the health trajectory of people who otherwise don't have, say, carrots, which is otherwise a great source of vitamin A. What does this look like? Does this look like an ocean? Yeah? That's a big water column. Yes, what do you think about that? Yeah, exactly, swimming. Swimming, but also used for growing food. Used for growing food. So much of our food comes from the oceans, but we're overfishing. That means we're not gonna have fish to feed people years and years and years from now. So therefore, we need to not only consume fish, but algae is gonna be a huge part of our diets. How many people here have had seaweed? Maybe in sushi or something like that? Yeah, you've had it now, but it's gonna start to be in everything because it's really, really healthy. There's so much of it, and it's just abundant in nutrition. What about insects? Who here has had insects? Anyone? Okay, a couple of adults. Okay, what kids out here would think about eating insects? What do you think? Come and tell me. No? Would you think about eating insects? Have you eaten them or you want to? You have? Cool. Where did you eat them? You gotta tell me louder. Oh my goodness, at your house? Wow. The first time I had insects was when I traveled around the world because billions of people, not billions, hundreds of millions of people around the world eat insects. And guess what? It's not because they're cheap and they're just easy to eat. It's considered a delicacy around the world. So isn't that interesting how what we eat very much depends on where we live? So you guys loved carrots and you loved ice cream and you had Mike and Ike. Our friend loved Mike and Ike's, but the fact is that a lot of people love eating insects, and we're going to be eating a lot more of them here in the US as time progresses because they're a much more sustainable source of protein. What do you think about that, Chewbacca? He's all for it. So is McDonald's the future? Who eats at McDonald's? I don't know, we had some carrot lovers here, so I'm not sure. McDonald's, Burger King, whatever your favorite fast food restaurant, right? It's pretty quick, it's pretty convenient. So the question is, will McDonald's be the future? Well, the fact is, I think it will be because since we came down from the trees, remember way back in the Paleolithic eras I was mentioning, we've been looking for faster and more convenient food because we're busy. Now that doesn't mean it's always healthy, but there are some good options. Anyone here love hamburgers? Who loves hamburgers and French fries? I know I do. Yes, Chewy loves hamburgers and fries. Definitely. Who doesn't? But guess what? The future burger is meatless. You can get Beyond Beef burgers in the store today. You can get the Impossible Burger, including at Burger King, and these taste just like meat. If you haven't had them, I encourage you to do it, because why? Then you don't need to kill an animal. And even if that doesn't matter to you, cows are a huge source of methane, and they cost an enormous amount to produce. So when we think about things like climate change and environmental degradation and pollution of our land, our water, our air, raising cattle is a huge portion, whether you want to believe it or not. Science is true whether you want to believe it or not. So that's why plenty of people out here, when people are talking about the move to a plant-based diet, that's why it's so important. It's not really for your health, it's for our environment. We just have the one planet, don't we, right now? And I want to be feeding people not just in 2050, but in several centuries from now. And the last one, by the way, that's called clean meat, cell-cultured meat, in vitro meat. You might have heard all kinds of words for it. It was debuted in 2013. Guess what? That's made from a cow's muscle cell, but then it's grown and grown and grown and replicates, and it is meat because it's made from a cell of a cow, but that cow didn't have to give up its life. You're going to start seeing much, much more meatless options, and it's true for fish, it's true for eggs, it's true for milk, that we'll be able to have all of those foods that many of us love without relying upon the animal and without all of the environmental degradation it produces. That's cool, huh, Chewy? Cool stuff. I think that gets a thumbs up, right? Definitely. Who knows who this is? Esther the Wonder Pig. So if you want to learn more about this, Esther the Wonder Pig is pretty cool, as you can tell from her outfit here. Chewbacca, thank you for that. And no, I'm not paid. I don't even know Esther, though I'd like to meet her one day. But this is a book that tells a little bit about her. Esther and her family are showing how great plant-based meals can be. And I do the same thing on my blog, by the way. Food should be delicious. We all want food to be delicious. Pizza. Who loves pizza? Oh, exactly. And I love pizza too. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm obsessed with the New York slice. Well, these are pizzas in space, right? Who thinks that's a little bit silly? Well, you know where that image comes from? Because a few years ago, NASA, people probably here know what NASA is. NASA is responsible for putting astronauts on the moon here in the US and all kinds of space research that gets people into space. And what do people need to do? They need to eat. Well, we have a whole amount of food that people look at in nutrition, so how we can feed space explorers. Remember our astronauts who we saw? They've lived in space more than a year. What are they going to eat? Well, they used to eat things that were not all that tasty. I mean, they would be nourished, they would live, but then now we have this incredible technology called 3D printing, and we can print pizzas in space. How cool is that? You could be eating pizza. That's awesome. That is the power of science and technology to create a healthy and sustainable and delicious food future. Because why should astronauts be deprived of delicious pizza? And you think you need to go to space? You could 3D print your food right at home. It's a thing. It's a thing. You're not going to do it yet because they're wicked expensive. However, if you go to places like around like ballparks and places like that, they have 3D printers now for food. You don't even need to do anything other than give them the ingredients and it prints it for you, just like it would print a piece of paper. You don't want a 3D print? How about having a robot in your kitchen, your very own robot? It does everything. Cooks, preps, cleans, serves. And you can have this for many thousands of dollars. It's not here yet, but is it going to happen one day? Sure will. It already happens for people who can afford it and really want it, but that's pretty cool stuff. You can already go to Tokyo and robots can serve you your meal, by the way, in case anyone's been there. How cool is that? You order a burger and it's brought to you by a robot. Don't want to cook it all? How about Soylent? Soylent is just an example. It's a complete meal that you don't even need to worry about cooking. You don't even need to worry about cooking. That's not for everyone. That's not for everyone, but it does make our lives that are focused on not cooking and not farming a lot easier to be healthy. And guess what? This and our Beyond Meat, all of these companies are very, very focused on sustainability. This is a plant-based product. It is a biodegradable container, and that really matters when we come to thinking about sustainability of our beautiful planet that we share. So let's go back to Star Trek. I think this is a good time. I think Chewy's not happy with the reference to Star Trek. Are you a Trekkie? A little bit. Which is your favorite series? Deep Space Nine. What? original series as well. Yeah, I agree. So this comes us back full circle. Tea Earl Grey hot. You can't just get tea from a food replicator. You can get any food you want. And guess what? That food appears right before you. Whatever you want from all around the universe. All of these different species. This is a Klingon. Ordering food, ordering a meal. And look, there's some kind of Klingon ale there as well. And it's not just tasty food. It's been perfectly nutrified to meet all of your nutritional needs. So you can still have that ice cream or that pizza, and it's delivering all of the wonderful nutrients you need. And guess what? You can even program it to your own self so that it's delivering exactly what you need for your own genome. That ultimately is the future of food. And as you've seen from our examples, from the food printer, from robots, from perfectly prepared meals that we've been nutrifying to provide nutrients, we've been doing this for a long time. So with that, I leave you with a thought that we have one planet, we share it here, and we want people to be around for a long time to be able to be happy and healthy and eat delicious food that doesn't compromise our ability to feed people years and years and centuries from now. That's what sustainability means. You can vote with your fork because every bite you take, everything you eat is a choice. It's a choice for what you're going to be putting into your body, whether it's something that's healthy or whether it's just something that's delicious and a treat, or whether it's something that's going to be an investment in our planet. And with that, may you all live long and prosper. May the 4th be with you all.